Aura as your backstage pass to smooth operations. This modern management solution reduces admin time, streamlines bookings, and drives profits. Receive a special offer at aurasalonwear.com, referral code PBA.
Welcome to Beyond Beauty, the Professional Beauty Association's podcast, where we take a deeper look into the minds and hearts of the amazing professionals who make up this professional beauty industry. I am your host, Leslie Perry. With me today, I can't believe it, I'm so excited, hairstylist, NAHA winner, salon owner, former collective in Denver, educator, the one, the only, Chelsea Vonne James.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much for being here. We were just talking before we started on, this is going to be such a great conversation. We met when I first started at PBA, like 5+ years ago, when we were still doing ISSE in California, and you were an educator, and we had so much fun doing that. And now here you are. What an amazing journey so far. Like, where do we even start? I don't even know where to start, other than why beauty? What called you into beauty when you first started?
You know, that is like so not this answer I have is so lame. So I was like pretty hood rat, to be totally transparent. So I didn't know much about beauty. I was always like just the ghetto kid, you know? And I definitely wasn't educated inside of like art. I went to an expulsion school. I had an addiction journey when I was young. And so I didn't even know like nice salons existed. I always liked to like play with my fashion. I had like Jinkos, and I had this like essence that was fun. But I fell hard. I joined the military because I was like, I don't have a future. And then I got kind of sick in the military. And like 3 months before my end term of service, I got caught and went to prison. And then I got out. And for like 2 years, it was very small memories. And then I ended up going to rehab, getting sober, and I was like I knew nothing about the world. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to be? And so I ended up getting sober in Minnesota, moved back to Colorado to like make amends and try to like right myself with the world. And I lived in this guy's basement who was a fashion stylist, and I didn't even know what that was. And I was like working at DirecTV, and I hated my life, and I was an employee, and it was just like I was on the verge of getting fired because I could not show up on time, and my car was ghetto. Like, it was just this like very dramatic thing. And so he comes downstairs one day and he's like, I have a fashion show and I need models. And I was like, good luck. And he was like, no, I need your help. Like, I'll knock money off your rent. And I was like, okay. Like, I was so poor. And so he's like, do you have any friends that you could bring? And I had this gay boy named Brad. And so we go to the show, and hair and makeup made us like, he had a receding hairline, and he invited a date. And so he was like, I can't go out there like this. Like, I need you to help me. And so I like fixed his little hair or whatever. And he's like, this is your thing. And I was like, what's my thing? And he's like, hair. And I had been to a Great Clips, but I was like, oh, dude, no. And he was like, no. So anyway, we did the show, and he took me to nice salons. And it was so interesting because I went to this program. It was like a personal development program, and it was called PSI, I think. And they were basically, it sounded very woo-woo to me, but they were like, it doesn't matter, but every morning you have to visualize like what you would want. And I had no like experience. I was a Patriot missile launcher, like I just didn't know what I wanted to be. And all I knew was like, I imagined myself being able to be myself because I'm like gay, I've got tattoos. I did like dressing and expressing myself that way. I imagined like laughter. I imagined like listening to music and like making really good money. And so I'd wake up every morning and just like manifest that. And then I like remember so clearly like walking in with him to this nice salon, and everybody looked so cool. And they were like, the music was amazing, and like everybody was like loving and hugging each other. And I was like, wait, what?
This
Hair?
is what I manifested.
Yeah, it was like just one of those moments. And so anyway, that's what like got me into beauty. I was like, okay, well, like how many ways can you cut and color hair? Probably not that many. I'll probably get bored, but this is like better than DirecTV. I'm about to get fired. So I quit, went to hair school, had this whole hustle there, and then never looked back. I mean, I feel like I was really lucky. I assisted right out of beauty school, and this man was so incredible. Like he would go to South Africa like with his boyfriend, and I was like, what? You can like travel. He worked for Tony and Guy as an educator, and he taught me like advanced education is everything. Like do that. And so I remember being like, $50 for shampoo. Like it was just so, everything was so like, what? So yeah, that was like my journey into beauty. And then I think like what keeps me is just all of the facets. Like I love working behind the chair. I love all the creative stuff. I'm definitely like a weirdo. I love like messaging. And so that's what makes NAHA so fun, and just like pushing myself and get my freak on. I love being in the salon environment and just having like a loving team, and we're just all like making people's lives better. Like that fuels me. I love business. I'm an entrepreneur. So it's like a limitless, perfect career for me.
There's so much to unpack.
Yes. Are you sure you want to start there?
I was like, woo!
Most people are like, I love beauty since I was born, and like I really wasn't that.
I was born into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had no idea anything about beauty. I mean, I cut my own hair. I've had a mullet since I was like baby. I was just like,
you had a mullet before it was cool, when it was cool, after it was cool, and now it's cool again. You've like ride that wave of the mullet.
Yeah, I cut my own hair. But that's about it as far as like my education on beauty. And I did end up like mid-career, I started educating with L'Oreal professional really early in my career. And I remember like the world was just so unknown to me. And I remember like learning about trend and being like, who is like picking the color of the year? Like, what do you mean? Like, who's in charge here? And so I did stop and I kept educating, but I moved to New York and went to Parsons, the new school for design. And I learned all about trend forecasting. And I think that like really changed. Like, I love understanding just like how trends are formed and participating in that. So that changed the trajectory for me inside of education and creating collections. Like I was like, oh, whoa, this is amazing. It changed my whole view of the world. So
that's amazing. And like hearing like your story from the beginning, all I kept thinking was you had every reason to not succeed. Yeah. I mean, like as you're describing your childhood and all the things, like, and yet here you are. What, again, if some don't know, outside looking in, right? Like we all just see the best highlights of everybody's life, but like success, like how did you persevere through some of the, I mean, that's a lot.
I think success in its own right has been such a journey for me. I think when I first started, I definitely had like this something to prove, trying to just like break the family stuff. We grew up very poor, and I was like, I am going to figure this out. Like, I'm so sick of everything being so hard. I'm so sick of that. And so I came at it with like something to prove, even to myself, like almost even my existence, where it was like, I used it as a way to feel good enough, I guess. And that was very helpful and driving. But I started then the work started working, and I would like achieve things, and it didn't, I don't know what I thought in my head, but it didn't change like the inside, I guess. It was like cool to win NAHA and like get things and like do stuff, but I still like, it felt like an emptiness still. And so I don't know, I had like a come to Jesus, spiritual awakening. I don't know how you discuss it, but now success looks like it's measured differently, I guess. And so I can see things that I think that I want to experience, and it's not necessarily about being good enough. Like, I think honestly, COVID was like a huge thing for me when everything shut down and I didn't have any of these outside things that I could like try to get to feel okay. I just literally had nothing. I had to figure out like, what am I? And I like dove really deep into identity and all of these different constructs. Like, what's the purpose? And like, what do I actually want? And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Like and then it became like the measurement tool is just like, okay, I think that I want to get fill in the blank. What are the daily things that I could do that would bring me closest to that goal? And so I guess that's what it looks like now is I understand like, okay, if I want to grow my social media, if I commit 2 hours a day, like that's probably going to get me closer. And so it's more of like, who do I actually want to be and how do I want to show up in the world? Like I want to be connected to my team. Awesome. So how much time? Or I want to understand and be an amazing leader to create a healthy environment. And so like for me, that journey looked, okay, well, you need to learn more about leadership. Here's the 3 books, you're going to spend 30 minutes a day. So like, that's kind of what it looks like now. And every day, like, I just know that I did that and that feels good and I'm adding value to the world. And it's changed everything. Like it's allowing me to be present. It's allowing me to like genuinely connect with people, you know, like I just am like, it's a different platform and preface and way of like approaching life in terms of like how I measure success. It's not about like, oh, if I get this, then it's just like, these are the things I think I want to experience. And a lot of that is inclusive of like growing inside of like intimacy and friendships and family members. And, you know, like what are some of the soft skills that I need to grow in so I can like actually be present and love my life. And it's working. I just feel this like gratitude and light. Like, I mean, it's so like cliche or whatever, but it is like happening for me, girl. Like, I don't know what else to say.
I can identify with that because I feel like not all of that part of the journey, but I've had so many jobs over my career as well, and never stayed at a job longer than like 3-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been at PBA for over 5, and it's the same for, I'm like, oh, it is true. You can find a job that literally doesn't feel like a job, and you feel like every day waking up, I was meant to be here doing these things, working with these people. And then I feel like, can I tell other people that? Because I like other people like don't feel that way, or like, no, oh, you're just saying that. So I appreciate that. It can happen. It really can happen.
It really can. Like, I'm like, okay, I value connection. I value like support. I value, like, I got really clear on like what I wanted every day to look like instead of like, oh, when I get this, then I'll be happy. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Mm-hmm. And so now it is like, okay, how can I like create depth inside of the salon culture? Like, how can I connect with my team to really understand who the hell they are? And so we're like walking together and we have this life that we like care about. How can I like create education where I'm like genuinely connecting with hairdressers and just like giving them, it's not about like, oh, come learn from me, I'm so great. Which I think I thought education was supposed to be, which gives like imposter and all this weird stuff. And now it's like, no, listen, like I made all of this money and like this is how I did it, you know, and like we're just like growing together and like everything is a win-win. And it makes me can't wait to get up. Like, I'm just like, what is happening? This is so fun.
Well, it's like for me, it sounds like I'm hearing you say like it's finally not about Chelsea. It's about the other people.
That's it.
about what you create together, about almost like what's your legacy at this point.
Yeah. I mean, legacy is such a weird thing. Like I think about that often, and I don't even know if it is actually a thing, which is kind of dark. But I'm like, there are kings, and like we don't know who they are, or you might get like a bench or something. Nobody cares, And so I think it's something lofty that I like originally would think about, but now I don't even care. Like I think I'm at this place where I'm understanding we're all the same. We're all terrified. We're all, filled with anxiety. There's all kinds of weird things happening in the world. And so there's just these like fundamental things that I am very interested in experiencing. And those things are like connection and exchange and depth. I love learning, like what's the most interesting thing. And I think there's a way to do that feels expansive and win-win. And like that just matters. And it doesn't mean that I don't go like really large inside of the goals I think I want to experience. But it's not like when I get that, then I'll feel this. It's like I just focus on like, how can I like embody that, be that? And then it all is like happening and I can actually like experience it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Legacy is like it's so deep. And if something like that happens by default, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's billions of, it's just like, I don't, and like in 100 years, like, I don't know.
Well, and you're the second person I've talked to this season on our podcast who really took the pandemic and COVID as like flipped it from what a lot of us experience as negative into a really positive thing that like just put you on this trajectory after and into the present. And so talking about that, your salon, like that has changed a lot since prior to the pandemic and then going through this. And how are things different in the salon and what you've gone through as an owner? I know it's a lot too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so fascinating because as I like review my past life, it seems like all of the horror, like all of the traumatic stuff is like everything that makes it great. So I'm just like, I'm almost at this point like a fan of the contrast. Like I think a lot, I think I was under a delusion of like just being like happy was the goal. And I'm like, that is so crazy. So now I have a lot more room and space for the wide range of emotions that exist, the contrast, if you will. Like when things are really terrifying, it's almost like my shift on that. I've been able to almost be excited, where I'm just like, oh, I'm about to learn, like I'm about to level up. And so for me, like I had an 8-chair salon, and pre-pandemic, like we were full and things were amazing. And then, the state shut us down. It was just like people couldn't double book, and that's how we live. And so, they went and got suites, and I like lost people. And then there was just so much controversy on like what's the right thing to do, and like you need to make people be vaccinated. It was just like so insane. And through that process, I do feel like I was able to tap in and find a level of like personal authority. I had a momentary like victim mindset that like really overtook me. Like I lost education, jobs, and I was just like, I felt so alone and disconnected and terrified. And I just like, like swam in it. I was like, poor me, and like whatever.
Why me, poor me? Yeah, we all live there.
Like, I ate that shit for breakfast every day and dinner. And I did like hustle up, I went and paid my rent. I DoorDashed, like it was very humbling. But then I think, so I ended up going month to month. and I wasn't sure. There was a time where like I'm an artist. I love art. I'm a fruitcake. And so I was like I thought hair was recession proof, and it just smacked me around. And so that was the time where I was able to explore different facets of myself. And I like started painting, and I was like, maybe I'm going to change careers, or maybe I'll just like drop the salon and go like behind the chair and just do that. And like, who cares about educate? Like, I don't know. I was just like playing and exploring, but also like kind of crotchety. And then I ended up going month to month. Things started to like come back and be a little bit regular. And I knew like, okay, you're going to have to like really figure out marketing. You're going to have to like make a choice in this. And then it was like, you have 90 days to get out. And I was like, oh God. Okay. So either I start over with a new location. We all know the expenses. And it was really weird because I like found this podcast, and they were like talking about acquiring other types of businesses. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like maybe I'll get a laundromat, and then I could like do art on the side, like I was like in it. And anyway, I found this salon, and I remember looking at it before I was told, and being like, huh, that's interesting. And I just like put it somewhere. Anyway, when I got the news, I went and saw it, and I ended up acquiring a new, much larger space. Like I did go to other salons and like look at the culture, and just nothing felt like it in my stomach. I was just like, this doesn't, I want to, if I'm going to do hair, like I want to love where I work. I want it to be inspiring. Like there has to be ethics and like pay and culture, and I just didn't see it. And so I was like, all right, well, it was terrifying.
Start over.
I acquired this location, and I made a mistake. It was an already existing salon, and I didn't check the water heater. I didn't check the electric, because it was all built out. I mean, I don't know, everything looked good. And it was not adequate. And like, there was like, 15 amps of blow dryers, 13 on a double-sided station. So I made a big financial mistake in that regard. And that was another like panic moment. But I think it was just like, I realized this is a big, I mean, it's a 22 chair shop.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, you got a lot to learn. You got to learn about marketing. You got to learn about how to like legit be a leader. Like I didn't know. And acquiring team members was like, whoa. And I have a hybrid blended model. And so that culture in its own right is like an art to like really create a
How have you been making that work, the hybrid? Because I know a lot of salon owners are moving to that, trying to meld. What do new stylists want? What do more experienced stylists want? Some want the flexibility. Some need a clientele. Everybody needs pay and benefits. Like how?
100%.
Everyone's wondering how, Chelsea, how?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, I went through a big period of listening. It's like at the end of the day, any business is about a value exchange. And I think really anything, like whether that's a personal relationship, it's all about a value exchange. And I think we need to like stop blowing smoke around that and just like get honest and have transparent conversations about what is the value exchange here? Like, what are we actually doing? And so I met with everybody, and I'm like, what is it? And I think from a financial perspective, truly, there's no right way. Like a lot of people are like, no, you make so much more on booth rent. And I'm like, that is false. And it depends on the pay scale for sure. But since there's no right way, and like for me, I get it. I'm an entrepreneur. Like I love business. That is like something that is for me. I need to be able to like run my own schedule. But I also think it's like looking at the old school models. I am old. Like I have been doing this a long time.
You're not old.
But like in comparison to the kids, it's like, oh my God. And it is a different industry. than it was when I came up. Like commission salon culture, like I had to sit there when I didn't have any clients, which I remember being like, this is so stupid. Like I could be right now on the streets, like going to the mall, passing out my cards. Like we didn't have social media. So that is like just a gem. It is like the gift of all gifts, I feel like for new people. But what I also realized is like the world has also gotten so comparison-y and like sick. And so people have a lot of problems with social media. And so I'm just like, I'm looking and for the renters, like it is really hard to find a space that has like, that is really busy, that has a healthy culture where people have your back, where you're also inspired, where you also feel like there's a standard and you're safe, but you're not controlled. And I think fundamentally, commission people want the same thing. Like, and so I'm like, what are the things that I can drop and what are the things that I can add to create this? And it's definitely like more work, but it's really getting honest about like, okay, well, if I was renting, like, what do I actually want? What are the benefits? And then pricing that accordingly. And for me, from a business model place, like I have a renter, if you're a renter, you're at a place where you have a level of wisdom that is extremely beneficial on to life. And so all of my renters, like I have a rigorous process of making sure like they hold the highest standards and they want to play with a team, and that fuels them genuinely. And so like I'm closed now on the renters. We have enough. We're still growing commission wise. And the team is so blended. Like they have to want to have the thing. And I think most hairdressers do. Like we're just hairdressers at the core are service-based, loving people. And so it's like, how do you find that balance between like usy or extra work? Like what's the compensation? And so for me, I'm like, okay, I need to build my website to an authority level where it benefits the renters and they have a place to promote and we have a cool blog. And so that's the stuff that we're doing where they can still build their business inside of my business, but everybody wins. It helps our brand, right? And same with like Google reviews and all of these things. But I'm also like, hey, I will provide you a blog class to help you grow. You are also welcome. Like I will negotiate them education tickets that like they wouldn't be able to get. Or it'd be like more expensive, whatever. All of their stuff is a write-off. Like what can I provide that makes it worth working here? And the exchange of like also being a leader and helping with accountability inside of the culture. Their ideas are so valuable. Like how do I make sure that they feel seen, heard, and supported? How do I make sure that like everybody in here is like winning? So we're doing like social media classes. We are like, I'm spending my time and they don't have to legally, I can't make them do any. But what I've found is like, it's like creating this like buzz and we love going to team meetings and we go deeper, right? And so I have to get innovative regarding the value that I actually add. I have to be really honest. And I also had to prove that I'm a trustworthy human being. And that means like going above and beyond. And because I made a financial mistake, like I had to clean. I had to go in and clean and create a safe environment that is beautiful, that they want to bring their people to. I had to like pay however, whatever to like make the lights incredible. I have to figure out what's the exchange. Like, what are they getting for what they pay? And then same with commission. Like it is my job to create a standard. And it's cool because a lot of the renters are to a place where they are so successful and they want to share. And so they are like growing inside of their education. They are crushing it on social media. They're like, a lot of them are older. And so they're like playing with TikTok. And so they're also getting a lot of value from like the younger stylists. And then same deal, like there isn't any hierarchy. And it is hard to hold the standard. Like every salon owner is going to complain about being a babysitter. And so we have an accountability group. so we have a code of honor, and we list out what environment do we all want to work, and it's a group conscience scenario. And so we all sit down, and it's like, hey, like, what are our values? Like, we want to go direct. Like, gossip in the salon is the sickest, not okay thing. And so it's like, go direct. So if I catch somebody or somebody, it's amazing. If like somebody comes to somebody and they're like, blah, blah is doing whatever, they're like, cool, tell blah, blah, or my name's not blah, blah. So it's like awesome. And then same deal. Like if somebody forgets, like nobody is like, from a values perspective, doing things on purpose to cause harm. So if somebody like leaves a dish, like it happens to us all, but like it's standard and encouraged to like take a picture of that dish and load it to the WhatsApp group. And then it is also encouraged for that person who left that dish to take accountability. And nobody's punished. It's just like, yeah, client.
Got it.
Right. In a safe, healthy way.
Yeah.
And then it is my job, like from an accountability place, to be like, if I'm getting the same dish from the same person, we will talk. But it's so rare. Like everyone is just, it's a truly loving environment.
It's awesome. We could keep talking about and I know people are like, wait, keep going, don't stop. But I will say, for those of you that want to hear more, Chelsea will be with us at our Salon Leader Experience in February in Austin, Texas. So continue the conversation there, which I know it's a little bit away, but it'll be a good teaser for
Yo, yeah, that's so fun. I literally can't wait. I can't wait to go hang out with all the geniuses. I mean,
I know, in person, in real life. I can't wait either. It's going to be so good. So before we wrap up, I always like to ask a little bit of a fun question. Okay. And I ask the same one because it fascinates me what people say. What's your favorite decade of all time for like the style, the fashion, the look? If you could go back to that decade, or maybe it's a future decade, I don't know. But is there a decade in time that's like, this is the decade that gets me, I belonged here?
You know what? I'm the worst in the world at favorites. It breaks my brain. Like people are like, what are your favorite color? And I'm like, but there's so much cool.
So many.
So I refuse. I just own that. And I like, oh God. I mean, I don't know. I think like some of the funnest are like the 80s was so fun. Like it's so insane. Where you just have the biggest hair and these gross bangs and like the outfits are so colorful and just like outrageous.
Sequins and rhinestones.
Yeah. So I don't know. If I have to pick, I'll just like go there. I like crushed the 80s. That was a good time.
I like it. I like the 80s. 20s are still my
20s are a thing for me too.
The flamboyance,
No.
And I just love finger waves. I don't know why. I just love.
No, it's so classy. It's like so chic.
My thing.
Art Deco, like get out. I can't. Yes.
Yes. So with that, I just thank you so much for being here. Any final words of wisdom to leave with our audience? Oh, I don't know. You can totally follow me on Instagram. I guess my goal and like participating in this is like legit. I want a community. I want to connect. That's what I care about. And let me know like any ways that I can add value. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Continued success to you. And we will see you in February, if not before. Take care.
Baby, thank you so much. Really grateful.
Step up your salon game with Aura Salonware, the preferred software for smarter scheduling, seamless payments, and happy clients. That way, you can focus on the style, not the stress. Receive a special offer at aurasalonware.com, referral code PBA.